Anyway, in that silent room, I heard two sounds. Why, if the room was so silent, I had heard two sounds.
There is no such thing as silence.
Sound, everything we hear and many things we don't.
Much of the discussion about sound is actually about noise, not about sound, meaning it's a fairly negative view of sound, and people complain about things if they're too loud or too irritating, but it's much more unusual to find discussion about what is positive and what people find pleasant or conducive in their soundscape.
What I love about sound is how it travels around corners. Like, you can't see the sniper around the corner in Iraq right now. If you put your head round, you'll get shot. But if you listen, you can hear him rustling.
Você sabe que não foi pelos nossos limitadores que nós sobrevivemos como espécie. Foi porque ouvíamos relativamente bem. Não é? E, portanto, conseguimos evitar os predadores por essa nossa acuidade auditiva, que é muito maior que a visual. Quer dizer, nós, de facto, ouvimos muito melhor do que vemos.
Ora bem, estamos a aproximar aqui de algo. Serão as portas? Não, é uma parede. Eu ando e à minha volta produzem-se diversos sons e eu não preciso de nada para que eles se produzam. O simples toque da bengala nos permite ter uma noção do espaço. Ou seja, se tivesse uma parede aqui à minha frente, o ressoar ou o som, digamos assim, que era produzido por eco da bengala, seria radicalmente diferente. Por exemplo, eu consigo perceber que está aqui alguma coisa. Por acaso, com a batida percebi que é uma parte plástica, portanto, à partida será um elevador. Exatamente. Fantástico. Para perceber que este espaço, por exemplo, é amplo, eu não preciso de me pôr a amaranhar paredes nem a correr o espaço de um lado ao outro. Mesmo involuntariamente, mesmo sem eu fazer nada, eu tenho essa percepção que me é dada pela audição.
O formato da orelha, que tem estas curvinhas todas, que faz com que o som crie reflexões. Ele bate nestas paredes e é canalizado para o canal auditivo. E se vier um som de cima, os pontos onde ele bate é diferente do que se vier de baixo. As reflexões são diferentes. E isso cria logo certas alterações no ciclo, nas ondas, que ajudam o cérebro a perceber de onde é que o som vem. E outra coisa é o atraso no tempo entre um som que chega a um ouvido e ao outro. Ele tem que viajar mais um bocadinho e tem que contornar a cabeça. E reflete-se no nariz e chega a outra orelha com outras reflexões. Essa diferença de tempo também contribui para percebermos de onde é que um som vem. E ainda outra terceira que é a acústica do espaço onde estamos.
Neste momento está-me a ouvir por aqui, está a ouvir por todos estes reflexos, estes múltiplos reflexos, e isso está a condicionar a sua percepção do espaço, de mim próprio, de si própria, porque tudo isto altera o nosso comportamento.
I trained as an architect. I've always been very interested in the way the sound and space create unique places and how they all combine. So I wanted to use the kind of nothing, the vacantness of that space, and take it and amplify it. In this room here, the boiler's going. When I go out, the boiler's still going. It's got a character to this room and the carpets and everything, and the fact of whether there's sound coming through the wall, all give it an important quality to how we perceive our environment.
Mais est-ce qu'il y a communication? Oui, s'il y a par exemple quelqu'un à côté de vous qui vous a suivi dans ce que vous étiez en train de faire, vous étiez calme en train de lire et vous êtes passé à parler au téléphone, puis après vous êtes allé à la cuisine faire du bruit, etc. La cuisine c'est toujours très bruyant. Vous avez fait une phrase, vous avez dit quelque chose, vous avez dit ce que vous avez vécu sans le vouloir.
I really feel like there's a lot of information that gets transmitted to us about the environment physically and socially, and you can stand in a field and you can listen and you can gather information about what animals and birds live in that field and what time of day it is and what the temperature is and what the social, cultural factors may be in that environment just by listening. So there's all this information that gets transmitted to us as individuals.
Historically, it had always been people who remembered things, and the things were passed on orally. And now there aren't those people who remember things anymore, because tape recorders can do it, and now the languages, at least in Canada, are written.
A própria forma de falar vai à vida. Quer dizer, o mundo contemporâneo, tal como ele está organizado, se quiser, aponta para outro tipo de utilizações da linguagem, da fala e da voz.
Para mim, interessa-me o som português, as recolhas portuguesas como matéria-prima para poderem ser reconstruídas, destruídas e a essência continuar lá e aquilo ter uma dinâmica contemporânea e serem usadas como instrumentos, como samplers, e poder-se fazer 7.500 obras musicais e outras coisas a partir daquilo.
Recently, of course, people have tried to connect. A lot to be done to really find out the connection between clicks, beginning of speech.
The eyes are taken over. But I think that's beginning to change a bit now.
This simply is not the case that there is any language anywhere in the world that is primitive. There are almost 4 number of speakers, but that doesn't mean...
In one sense, you could look at language ecology as sort of perhaps the most important from a human point of view aspect of acoustic ecology. Because once sounds of a language are gone, they'll never be fully recovered.
When I was your age, I tried to
Os sítios têm uma sonoridade muito própria e de facto faz parte desse processo, se quiser, identitário e de pertença, esta componente, se quiser, esta paisagem sonora, que é fundamentalmente humana.
We work in schools with teachers. We send in a workshop leader to encourage pupils to listen to their environment and listen very closely. They then identify sounds that are special to where they live, and we go out and collect those sounds with recording equipment. Then we bring those sounds back into the classroom, upload them onto a computer so other pupils can hear what it sounds like to live in Slough or in Aberdeen or in Cornwall or any number of places that we've delivered projects in. They just can't believe what they can hear, and a whole new world is opened up to them.
I like things quite noisy, and I think people who choose to come to cities to live, I mean they do that for many reasons, but often city people like a noise. They feel uncomfortable in the countryside where things are too quiet.
My name is Max Dixon. I'm advisor to the Mayor of London on ambient noise. Our work here is setting out policies for noise abatement in a fairly traditional way. Planning and design of open spaces is one area where the positive aspects of soundscape are most manifest.
I like this place because it's rather interesting sonically. You can hear the water lapping, and there are birds, if you hear at the right time for birds, boats going past. Sometimes they will blast a horn. When it's windy, the wires, they sing a little bit, and when people run over it or walk over it, it bounces up and down and rattles. So there's a lot of sounds here if you pay attention to them.
Eu antigamente ouvia, percebia de tal maneira o horizonte, um horizonte alargadíssimo aqui à volta deste bairro, que me permitia ouvir o clarim do quartel que fica longíssimo daqui, o farol, etc, etc, etc. Percebia-se aqui uma série de horizontes longínquos, horizontes acústicos longínquos. Hoje em dia, o que eu tenho é uma coisa aqui, que eu presinto que está aqui a 100 metros no máximo.
Our streets will sound different in 10 or 20 years' time. Will it be more tonal? Will it have certain characteristics which it doesn't have at the moment, which could be more annoying if we don't think about it?
In the early 20th century, the soundscape changes from being vertical to being horizontal, which is the result of electrical hums, traffic noise growing, long sounds.
This is Bob Baggs, Marketing Manager, Radio and Victrola Division of RCA Victor.
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle. It's dramatically new. It's an RCA Victor exclusive, made possible only through years of research, inventions, and innovations. Living stereo, played on a record.
O mundo está a mudar. Vejam à vossa volta, isto depois da Primeira Guerra Mundial ainda mais. Vejam o que está a acontecer nas vossas cidades. Vejam o movimento, as máquinas, tudo o que está a acontecer, como o homem está a mudar o seu sistema, a sua vida, a sociedade se está a metalizar, a maquinizar, e esta sociedade produz uma cor própria, um som próprio.
Há muito ruído de baixa frequência nas cidades. Os ambientes urbanos, isso é ruído de baixa frequência. Vai fazer isto. A gente já esteve na discoteca, garagem de autocarros, o autocarro arranca, o outro na discoteca. Sentimos aqui dentro. E digo-lhe, no dia que se houvesse, sei lá bem o quê, mas se houvesse algum evento qualquer onde de repente toda a gente parasse e desaparecesse, as pessoas morriam de medo.
Sound is composed of the soundscape of cities is composed of many different sources, many of which are quite close together. Cities are works in progress. Clearly, the design of public spaces and new development is an area where any city authority should concentrate.
Sound is everything I hear. And noise is also everything I hear, but a bit more disorganized. Silence is everything I want to hear, but I can't.
And here, there, thy blood.
Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations.
Things can be silent because before there was something non-silent.
This traffic we hear in the background, what if instead of, just trying to listen to my voice and ignoring that background, what if we listen to that as sound? What's interesting about it, or not interesting?
So one of the things about London is that it is a noisy place, and that's one of its features. Everywhere actually sounds a little bit different from somewhere else, but you have to sort of listen to notice that and appreciate it.
Este beco atua como isolador e de repente todo aquele ruído do tráfego vai-se atenuando, começa-se a ouvir os passos, os nossos, das outras pessoas. os passarinhos das gaiolas, as vozes dos vizinhos. E cá está, começa gradualmente a ouvir-se este contínuo. Entretanto, o ruído dos meus passos, ou o som dos meus passos, já lá vai completamente esmagado pelas baixas frequências.
O ruído é uma perturbação num processo de comunicação.
That which is different from music or articulate speech or different from signal, different from something that you're trying to communicate, right? Noise is background.
Basically unwanted sounds.
Máquinas. Okay? Portanto, máquinas temos em todo lado, desde os transportes públicos, a grandes complexos industriais, aos frigoríficos, às ventoinhas, às discotecas, aos carros.
Para mim esses sons são naturais e têm um lado mais leve, por serem feitos sem intenção de produzir som. Talvez por isso, para mim a principal fonte de ruído é justamente a música. Uma pessoa que tem o rádio no carro, tem uma grande potência, para essa pessoa é uma forma de exercer poder.
I mean, maybe Mediterranean countries prefer things to be louder. And certainly there's a different in Spain, probably in Portugal, and in Italy as well. Like young men like to ride all those motor scooters all around, making a huge amount of noise. That would be illegal in this country.
Hey, how you doing, baby? Are you ready for business? All right, yeah, this is Wayne Blaze, the New York City Film Committee.
First of all, in general, I feel like Americans have no sense of respect for how they affect a space when they enter into it. Sound is the way it gets expressed the most because people are loud and the city is loud.
Chega uma pessoa de carro para a porta de alguém e buzina para a pessoa, para aparecer à janela. E está a buzinar para toda a gente.
Dans certains cas, c'était vraiment de la provocation intentionnelle parce que, je cite un exemple très simple, une jeune maman qui avait une voisine en bas, une vieille dame qu'elle ne supportait pas parce qu'elle contrôlait ses allées et ses venues. Et donc, quand elle fait l'amour avec son mari, elle avait un lit qui avait un problème dans le sommier et elle ne l'a pas réparé. Elle me dit, je ne l'ai pas réparé pour qu'à chaque fois que je fais l'amour avec mon mari, la vieille qui est en bas, elle entend.
There have been figures in the past who've talked about the soundscape of cities with the image, the analogy of a musician, a composer.
You know, we can think of the whole world, all audible phenomena, as this vast stream of noise, and that each of our messages and each of our music comes from it and you know, comes out of it and then merges back into it. Musicians take their sounds for granted. They take a certain set of field of sounds, pitches, timbres, meters, and they work with it. Sound artists think, what's this vast world of sound that we hear? How can we think about it? How can we shape it? How can we consider it?
in the mid 90s, there was like 2,000 or 3,000 pirate stations throughout the country at that time, and a lot more people interested in radio and what radio could be, because they weren't hearing anything interesting for so many years, because it just became controlled by corporations who were only interested in selling advertisements and not providing any interesting content or different content or innovative radio.
To encourage artists to think about the airwaves and the transmission spectrum as this creative tool and medium into itself is very connected to acoustic ecology, because it's the air around us that's part of our environment.
I'll give this box ears, I thought. I'll put a tape recorder in it and I'll post it. Picks it up the next morning, 15 hours later, took it back to the studio, popped it in the cassette player we had in the studio, and wow, it recorded the cars, the people singing, lots of stuff. At 5 a.m, it recorded 5 men scanning the parcel, swearing about having sex the night before or not, always pop up in my head. And it's just some postman somewhere in London that's in my head for the rest of my life. I think that's an amazing quality of sound. I don't know what he looks like.
E agora vinha para baixo e estava a ouvir, ia assim, a tentar proteger-me do vento, e ia começando a ouvir como, ia reparar assim, que engraçado, a chuva a bater nas várias esquinas das casas onde eu tentava proteger, estava protegido, faziam vários sonzinhos.
You get used to sound, but then you get used to other things like bad air. But often the question is, well, should you get used to it? Should we actually not be striving for something which is a little bit more stimulating and pleasant than what we've actually got?
And I think as people become more concerned about managing their health in a variety of ways, whether that's diet, exercise, the quality of the air around them, people will also become more concerned about the exposure to the sheer volume of sound in entertainment, and will become more demanding of quality.
Slurping and making waves when the water, like now, you hear the echoes. If you wait around here, you hear sort of little things like that, which makes this an interesting place to be listening.
There's a Zen question about if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound?
But is this music? Is it a noise?
It's parkland. It's like this shared communal space.
The sound is your material. You can sculpt it, you can chop it, you can edit it, you can collage with it.
Silence, yeah. Well, I think Cage is really right. John Cage was obsessed with silence, but he also said that there's no such thing. And what I think he was obsessed with, what silence was for him, was a kind of noise, was background.
And also in French you find that bruit is also used in the same sense in Old French. Le bruit des oiseaux means the noise, the singing of the birds. So the beautiful noise is said by this. And I think we should think about this other connotation as well when we use the word noise. I especially am interested in the Japanese noise music, which seems to be very chaotic, but there is so much insight and so much thought about what is sound, what is music, what is desired, what is undesired, what is the human ear able to perceive, and so on. Silence, what is sound, what is music.
Noise. Noise is like the stranger. Everything we don't want to hear, and many things we do. Sound is the friend. So sound is what you feel comforted by. It's what you look for. It's what supports you.
One of the challenges of work with sound is that there are no magic bullets and no single keys that one can turn. This is one area where artists have an important role. I think we have to look to diversity and finding ways in which communities around the city can co-create more humane soundscapes.
They are sometimes going around a really familiar place, but with a completely different outlook. They're using their ears instead of their eyes.
That stirs the imagination.
Guys,